Now, FNAF 4 is known for many different things, from terrifying animatronics with odd design choices, the year 1983, Crying Child's uncertified identity, the box, and even Dream Fury, a fan favorite. But what most people remember from that game is...
Was that the bite of 87?
Now, the community have decided to give this incident another name, the Bite of 83, because of the TV screen in the Crying Child's house showing the date 1983, the fact that Fredbear's is still open, and another reason is from sister location, in which when you put the number 1983 into the keypad, the monitors happen to show the FNAF 4 house, with people speculating that this was the beginning for William's insanity, losing his own son. But what if I told you that all of that was made up by us, and the details of this game completely tell another story. Let us first start from the TV screen displaying the date 1983 with the show Fredbear and Friends. Now, after doing a lot of research, I can 100% tell you that no show in history puts the date of the current year it is being played at the beginning of their show. But what they would do is say since when the show has started for some kind of promotional product. I can even bring you more evidence, with the fast coin and security breach showing the logo of Fazbear Entertainment with 1983 embedded on the coin, which seems to suggest that the first Freddy Fazbear's location opened in 1983, with a lot more evidence like Foxy Bro's mask and the plushies in Crying Child's room also suggesting this fact, and telling us that it has been a thing for some time. But what if I told you that the pizzeria that is open at the same time this game takes place is not the first Freddy's location? In the FNAF 4 house is this girl's room that me and most of the community believe is Elizabeth's room. But one detail that we always overlook is Mangle's presence in that very room. When Mappa was talking about the odd details of FNAF 4 in the livestream, Scott Coffin himself told him how quote-unquote, why is Toy Chica missing her beak? Which led to MatPat's infamous Dream Fury. But after Dream Fury was retconned with sister location, we all forgot these details ever existed. But what I believe these two details are pointing towards is how the FNAF 2 location is open at this point, with their literal toy versions being sold to the public. And let me remind you what year the second Freddy location does its grand reopening. 1987. No, this is not the Bite of 87. Put your pictures back in your pockets. I'll explain everything. Hey, while we're here, why don't you hit that subscribe button? These videos take a lot of time and the motivation would help, so consider doing it. Anyway, back to solving this thing. Now, if this is set in 1987 and the second location is already open, that means the missing children's incident has already occurred, which would explain why the Crying Child is so scared of that place to begin with his plushie reminding him of what he saw. What he saw was a kid getting stuffed into a suit, and that is why he's terrified of the location but still considers the animatronics plushies to be his friends. But I've got one more detail, one more evidence to prove to you that Crying Child dies in 1987. In FNAF 2 we learned that the toy animatronics are built with facial recognition software and also connected to the police radio station in case of an emergency. Now, whether they succeeded or not is unclear, but if you listen closely to Mangle's audio when she enters your room, you can definitely hear the radio police station, and what it says is very interesting. Would I be crazy to suggest this boy is the Crying Child? How many more instances have we had of kids losing their frontal lobes? Okay, we have had many, but when it comes to the games, we have only had one. We know that he was later hospitalized from these details in the game, but for an incident like this, the police would definitely come to question what happened, explaining the radio recording. With Fazbear Entertainment just calling this incident a spring lock failure.
And simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees.
Now the toy animatronics would hear that another child has been hurt in another Freddy's location, and they go berserk mode, thinking that their killer has returned, so they would attack the nearest security guard as that is all they remember from their killer, causing the Bite of 87 and Jeremy Fitzgerald's death. Also, let me mention that many believe this scene from the game is showing us a kid stuffed into a suit, but if Crying Child is alive at this point, then why would William be killing any kids? Which would further solidify my theory of MCI happening before CC's death and having a completely different reason. Another detail about FNAF 4 could be answered with this very idea. The final scene shows psychic friend Fredbear talking to the Crying Child with a slight color change in the text, with the famous words, everyone say it together, "You are broken, I will put you back together. Now we speculated that this was William Afton promising his son, but again, we overlooked another detail, with the plushie telling him how we are still your friends. I don't know about you, but last time I checked, William Afton was still one person. Right? Which makes me believe this we is the MCI, and the spirit talking to the crying child is either Cassidy or the puppet. Now you could argue that this could be William Afton, but again, he did not fulfill his promise while the puppet did literally put his spirits back together and let him rest. But if this is the case, if these events happen in 1987, then why is it that 1983 is so important to this franchise? Why is it that in sister location putting the code 1983 reveals the FNAF 4 house? Well, sometimes, to solve the past, you have to look at the future. In the latest FNAF game released from Steelwool of 1 and 2, in order to get the quote-unquote Princess Quest ending, you have to do certain tasks within the minigames to get plushies of the Core 6 animatronics. In one of those minigames that again is related to sister location, you are presented with yet another keypad, and when you enter the code 1983, it surprisingly gives you the puppet's plushie. And at the time, this heavily confused me, because to get all the other plushies, you had to do something that was related to the character they represent. To get Bonnies, you had to tilt Bonkabon. To get Chicas, you had to throw away everything related to Chica. To get Foxies, you had to beat Foxy's log ride. So why is it that 1983 is related to the puppet, and then it hit me? It's because 1983 was the year William Afton took his first victim, Charlotte Emily. We know that Charlie was the first of William's victims, as Henry mentions,
a wound first inflicted on me, but then one that I let bleed out to cause all of this.
And in the graphic novels, her gravestone showed the same date, 1980 to 1983, and also that her death is completely out of character from William, killing in an obvious way, without even using his suit, leaving evidence behind, all pointing towards this kill to be his first. And if Into the Pit is to be believed, the MCI happens 2 years later, after Charlie's death, in 1985. Editor's note, I always found it weird that he chooses the year his son dies as the password to watch over his son. Like, bro, you're not gonna die or something? I feel like this is a better explanation for that detail. And before you say it, I know this detail exists from Into the Pit, but honestly, how much you consider from that game canon is arbitrary. So I'm gonna say I'm right. Anyway, back to the video. But we still have one more question to answer. Why? Why would William kill Charlie at all? Why would William be in the bunker in the first place? Why does he commit to the MCI? Why is he freaking purple? Okay, maybe we don't have an answer for that one, but seriously, why does William Afton become William Afton? Well, Steelwool have been telling us exactly why all along. You see, there's a character throughout this franchise that has only been vaguely ever mentioned. And yes, there are some videos talking about the role that she plays in the story, but all are mostly speculation. But I predict we're going to be getting a more clear answer as to her fate in the future installments. Now I'm sure you've heard from at least one YouTuber how Steelwool have been teasing this idea of a circus-themed carnival throughout their games, with posters, mini-games, costumes, and character design, and hey, there's a trailer for it. But one poster in particular has caught everyone's attention, showing Fall Fest 1970. The only other instance we ever hear about a Fall Fest, it is set in 1983. That date again, which I believe to be the last ever Fall Fest, as it ends up in flames. But these very flames have been emphasized by Steelwool quite a bit in their games. And I believe the fire of 83 would take someone so dear to William, burning his mind along the way. That someone being Mrs. Clara Afton. Now, the absence of this character was never fully acknowledged until Sister Location, where we saw more references to her with the show Immortal and the Restless, which is where the name Clara comes from, by the way, and also Ballora, which many of us believe to be an effort from William to rebuild his wife. But even with Ballora, there's an odd detail in her design, with her having closed eyes. Do you know who else has closed eyes? Dead people. And that's not all. Whether in the books or games, she's lately got a lot of mentions, with this dining table and security breach resembling the Afton family, with her being the head of the table. The baby staff bot is Elizabeth, the headless one is Crying Child, and Michael is represented by Bloomboy as he plays Bloomboy's minigames to help the puppet make the happiest day, and Mrs. Afton as the head of the table resembles when she was there, they were a family, but when she was gone, their family was torn apart. Maybe 1983 is the password in his bunker because it's the year William Afton lost everything. He lost his circus. He lost half of his business. Now all that was left from the Fazbear Entertainment name was Henry's animatronic designs. And most importantly, he lost his wife. I mean, just look at FNAF 4. Do you see a single mother figure anywhere? If William is just lost in his work because business is booming, just like how MadPat mentions, then where is Clara? Why is Michael the one who's taking care of the crying child? Well, all of that would make sense if she is dead. Take a look at Midnight Motorist. Later that night, after he kills Charlie in a drunken rage, William goes back home to see his oldest son wearing the same gray shirt with the same gray text, let alone the fact that he's doing the most Michael thing ever, watching TV, telling his dad to leave his younger brother alone. And when he goes to see him, he realizes that he ran off to that place again, to his mother's grave in the woods. But William wasn't gonna let his wife go. He wasn't gonna let any of his family go. In the meantime, make sure you check out more videos on this channel. And if you want to find out more about Midnight Motorist, check ID's Fantasies videos surrounding the topic in the link in the description. As always, I've been your host, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!